Welcome to our deep dive into the world of adult development. Today we're exploring different aspects of awareness. We'll be drawing insights from a research paper by Thomas Jordan. This paper challenges some traditional ideas about development. Instead of seeing it as a single climb up a ladder, Jordan proposes that different types of awareness create unique profiles. He compares them to constellations of skills and abilities.
It certainly makes you think about those assumptions we often make about intelligence and awareness.
Jordan's research really flips the script on how we traditionally view personal growth. He argues that being highly developed in one area, like being able to grasp complex ideas, doesn't automatically mean you're advanced in other areas like self-awareness or understanding different perspectives. His research outlines 5 distinct awareness profiles.
These profiles aren't meant to be ranked or seen as superior to one another. Instead, they represent different ways individuals make sense of the world and themselves.
Let's dive into the first profile. Profile A is described as strong cognitive complexity, weak perspective awareness.
Think of that brilliant engineer or chess master. They can solve incredibly complex problems, but might be completely blind to their own biases or have difficulty considering alternative viewpoints.
So someone might be incredibly intelligent, but lack the wisdom that comes with being able to see things from different perspectives.
Exactly. Jordan suggests that individuals in this profile may dismiss other perspectives because of overconfidence in their own abilities. They might be brilliant within their area of expertise, but their own ways of thinking create blind spots when it comes to understanding systems of thought, including their own.
That brings us to Profile B, strong perspective awareness. This is someone who not only understands how systems work, but also recognizes how their own thinking patterns shape their perception.
The key here is that they can think about systems, not just within them. Jordan calls this metasystematic reasoning. And it's a hallmark of someone who can truly engage with different viewpoints, even opposing ones. They're highly self-aware and can adapt their approach to problems.
It sounds like they would be excellent collaborators and mediators. Now, Profile C is where things get especially interesting. This is strong construct awareness, weak self-awareness.
This is the person who intellectually understands that our thoughts, emotions, and even our sense of self are constructed. They get the idea that our realities are built on our interpretations and experiences. However, they might struggle to apply this understanding to their own lives. They may lack the self-awareness needed to manage their reactions or understand the emotional subtext of social situations.
So they can talk the talk, but might not walk the walk. They can discuss philosophy and social constructs brilliantly, but still struggle with, say, conflict resolution or understanding their own emotional triggers.
They haven't quite bridged the gap between knowing something intellectually and having it become a lived embodied experience.
That's a great way to put it. It highlights a crucial difference that Jordan emphasizes. You can have a deep intellectual understanding of a concept, but it's a whole other level to actually integrate that into how you experience and interact with the world. Let's move on to Profile D, strong self-awareness. This profile presents a contrasting pattern.
This individual is deeply in tune with their own emotions and internal processes. Imagine a mindfulness master, someone very much in touch with their inner world. They might excel at self-regulation, but lack the complex reasoning skills to navigate complicated systems.
This profile is almost like the flip side of Profile C. They have strong grasp on their inner world, but when it comes to analyzing and understanding complex external systems, they might fall short.
So while they might have exceptional emotional intelligence and self-awareness, they might find it challenging to engage with things like strategic planning or understanding large-scale social issues.
Exactly. Their strengths lie in a different domain. They thrive in areas where self-regulation and emotional intelligence are key. We've explored 4 fascinating profiles so far. Let's move on to the final one. Profile E, the pure awareness self.
This profile ventures into the realm of spiritual awakening. In this profile, a person experiences a shift in identity. Their sense of self moves from a feeling of separation to a feeling of oneness with everything around them.
It sounds like a profound and perhaps even mystical experience. How does this awareness profile manifest in everyday life?
That's a key question. Even with this shift in identity, individuals like this still navigate the world using concepts and beliefs. The challenge for them, as Jordan points out, is to recognize those beliefs as tools, not absolute truths. Even with a profound sense of oneness, they still operate within a world that often emphasizes individuality.
This raises the question of how someone with this level of awareness balances their internal experience with the external realities of daily life.
It's certainly something to consider.
Each of these 5 profiles offers a unique perspective on awareness. But Jordan's research doesn't stop at describing these profiles.
That's right. His work challenges the traditional idea that development follows a single straight path. He argues against this idea of climbing a ladder from one stage to the next.
So there's not a linear progression from one type of awareness to another.
That's what Jordan's research suggests. He brings in empirical studies that found cognitive complexity, ego development, and spiritual awakening might not always be connected in a straightforward way. For example, one study he mentions looked at individuals who reported having achieved a persistent non-symbolic experience. This is another way of describing spiritual awakening.
And what did they find?
These participants, all of whom described themselves as spiritually awakened, displayed a wide range of scores on measures of ego development. This suggests that profound spiritual experiences don't necessarily go hand in hand with reaching the highest stages of ego development.
So you could have a deep spiritual awakening without necessarily being at the most advanced stage of ego development.
That's the implication. Jordan also cites another study that explored the relationship between ego development and cognitive complexity. The researchers found that people at the same ego development stage could have very different levels of cognitive complexity.
That means two people could be at a similar stage of ego development, but one might excel as a scientist while the other thrives as an artist or social worker.
Precisely. These findings highlight the complexity and diversity of human development. They suggest that we need to move beyond simple linear models.
It's exciting to consider the possibility that there are many paths to growth and development.
And it underscores the importance of understanding the unique strengths and challenges associated with different awareness profiles.
Which, speaking of strengths and challenges, Jordan's paper primarily focuses on describing these profiles. But how can this knowledge be applied practically? What does it mean for our listeners?
That's a great question, and one that we'll explore further in the next part of our deep dive.
Let's shift our focus to the practical applications of Jordan's awareness profiles.
It's helpful to understand these profiles in theory, but how can we actually use this knowledge in our own lives?
One area where this understanding can be incredibly useful is in teamwork and leadership. Imagine you're leading a team that needs to tackle a complex problem. Understanding these awareness profiles could help you anticipate how different team members might approach the task and how their strengths and weaknesses might come into play.
For instance, someone with strong cognitive complexity, like the person we discussed in Profile A, might excel at coming up with innovative solutions.
However, they might need some encouragement to consider the perspectives of others and to factor in the human element, including the potential emotional impact of decisions.
Someone with strong perspective awareness, as described in Profile B, would likely be more inclined to seek out diverse viewpoints and encourage a collaborative process. They would be adept at recognizing their own biases and creating space for others to share their ideas. They might naturally fall into the role of a mediator, helping the team navigate disagreements and find common ground.
This makes me think about how understanding awareness profiles could be valuable in conflict resolution. Knowing someone's profile could offer insights into their communication style and their approach to disagreements.
Absolutely. Let's take the example of someone with high construct awareness but weak self-awareness, as in Profile C. This individual might be excellent at understanding the underlying reasons for a conflict. They can grasp how different perspectives and past experiences have shaped the current situation, but their own emotional reactions might make it difficult for them to stay grounded during the conflict.
They might need support in remaining present and composed rather than getting swept up in the emotional intensity of the situation.
On the other hand, someone like the person described in Profile D with strong self-awareness might be very attuned to the emotional dynamics of the conflict.
However, they might struggle to see the bigger picture or the systemic factors at play.
Their strength lies in their ability to regulate their own emotions, which could be helpful in de-escalating tense situations.
They could play a key role in fostering empathy within the group, but they might need some guidance in understanding how the conflict fits into a larger context.
So awareness profiles can help us understand not only individual strengths and weaknesses, but also how those dynamics can play out in groups.
Exactly. Even someone with the profound shift in identity described in Profile E, the pure awareness self, could bring unique strengths and challenges to a team.
Their experience of oneness and ego dissolution could foster a sense of unity and shared purpose within the group. They might naturally bring a sense of calm and interconnectedness to the team environment.
However, they might find it challenging to reconcile their spiritual awareness with the practical demands of a specific task. They might need support in translating their insights into concrete action plans.
It's like they're operating from a different level of awareness and need help bridging that gap between their inner experience and the external world of goals and strategies.
That's a good way to put it. And as with all the profiles, it's crucial to understand and address their strengths and weaknesses in a way that supports their contributions to the team.
It's amazing to consider how these profiles could influence everything from team dynamics and leadership styles to our personal relationships. Each profile offers its own set of gifts and challenges. Instead of trying to fit everyone into the same mold, we can learn to appreciate and leverage the diversity of awareness within ourselves and others.
That leads to an important question. How can we identify these awareness profiles in ourselves and others?
Is there a test we can take or a questionnaire to fill out?
It would be convenient if there were a simple assessment tool. However, Jordan doesn't offer concrete tools for identifying these profiles.
But his work gives us a valuable framework for understanding different types of awareness. That's a powerful starting point.
So how can we use this framework in a practical way?
One approach is to simply observe and reflect. Pay attention to how you and others approach problems, make decisions, and interact with people. Notice the patterns of strengths and weaknesses that emerge. For example, if someone consistently struggles to see things from other perspectives, that might be a sign of weak perspective awareness.
Or if someone is very introspective and self-aware, but finds it difficult to think strategically, they might have strong self-awareness, but weaker cognitive complexity.
It's like becoming a detective of awareness, using Jordan's profiles as a lens for understanding the people around us, as well as ourselves.
It is. But it's important to remember that we are all complex individuals. No single profile can perfectly capture all the nuances of a person.
We all have a unique blend of strengths and challenges. The goal isn't to put people in neat little boxes, but rather to recognize patterns and tendencies.
The more we understand these different forms of awareness, the better we can navigate complex situations, build stronger relationships, and even foster our own personal growth.
It's empowering to have a new language for understanding human potential. And awareness itself is a dynamic process. We can develop and cultivate different forms of awareness throughout our lives.
That means even if we recognize areas where we're currently weaker, it's not a fixed state. We can always work on expanding our awareness and developing new skills.
Absolutely. And that journey of growth and development is something we'll explore further in the final part of our deep dive.
In this deep dive, we've been exploring Thomas Jordan's research on awareness profiles.
We've discussed the strengths and weaknesses of each profile, and how understanding these profiles can improve the way we interact with others.
We've also touched on how this framework can be applied to teamwork leadership and conflict resolution.
But one important question remains. How can we cultivate and develop these different forms of awareness in ourselves?
That's a key question. As we mentioned earlier, Jordan doesn't offer a step-by-step guide. However, his research does provide valuable insights that can help us explore this question.
So where do we begin?
Let's revisit each profile and consider potential pathways for growth. Starting with Profile A, individuals with strong cognitive complexity but weak perspective awareness could benefit from practices that encourage them to be more open-minded and challenge their assumptions.
So engaging in activities that expose them to diverse perspectives, actively listening to viewpoints that differ from their own, and even participating in respectful debates could be beneficial.
The key is to create opportunities for them to step outside their comfort zones and consider different ways of thinking. They might also benefit from practices that foster humility, recognizing that their perspective, while valuable, is just one piece of a larger puzzle.
It sounds like it's about cultivating greater mental and emotional flexibility.
That's a great way to put it. Now, for those with strong perspective awareness, as described in Profile B, the focus might shift to deepening their self-awareness.
While they excel at understanding different perspectives, they could benefit from paying closer attention to their own internal processes.
Practices like mindfulness, meditation, journaling, or therapy could help them become more aware of their own thoughts, emotions, and reactions.
This increased self-awareness can further enhance their ability to navigate complex situations and relate to others with empathy.
What about Profile C? Those with strong construct awareness, but weak self-awareness.
For them, the path might involve bridging the gap between their intellectual understanding and their lived experience. They already grasp the idea that reality is constructed, but they need to integrate that understanding into their daily lives.
Practices that cultivate emotional intelligence and somatic awareness could be helpful.
Things like body-based therapies, movement practices, or even spending time in nature can help them connect with their physical sensations and emotions.
It's about moving beyond the purely intellectual realm and into a more embodied sense of self.
As they develop greater self-awareness, they can start to identify their own triggers, their patterns of reactivity, and their limiting beliefs. This creates space for them to make more conscious choices.
Each profile seems to have its own unique set of growth opportunities. What about Profile D individuals with strong self-awareness?
For them, the focus might be on expanding their cognitive complexity and their understanding of systems. While they excel at introspection, they might benefit from engaging in challenging intellectual pursuits.
So things like studying complex systems theory, taking courses in philosophy or science, or even learning a new language could be beneficial.
They could also explore practices that develop their critical thinking and analytical skills. Expanding their cognitive toolkit can enhance their ability to navigate the complexities of the world around them.
Finally, we have Profile E, the pure awareness self. What does growth look like for someone who has already experienced such a profound shift in identity?
For individuals in this profile, the challenge lies in integrating their spiritual awareness into their human experience. This might involve practices that help them ground their insights into action and connect with others with compassion.
Rather than retreating from the world, they can learn to embody their awakened state in their interactions with others.
Practices like engaged Buddhism or socially engaged spirituality could provide pathways for them to express their wisdom and compassion in practical ways.
This deep dive has been incredibly thought-provoking. It's given me so much to consider, both in terms of my own awareness and how I understand the people around me.
Jordan's research opens up a vast field of exploration. It invites us to appreciate the many forms of human awareness.
He provides a framework, but the real journey begins when we apply these insights to our own lives. We encourage you, our listeners, to reflect on these awareness profiles, observe the patterns in yourself and others, and embrace the ongoing process of growth and development. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive.